back again. Next axis impulse. Now we're going to activate. Okay. I can do this as activating a Kampfgruppe, which again, I would drop that piece and all units within 2 hexes would be activated. Or I can activate any single corps. So I could use that to activate this corps, or that corps, or that corps. Let's see what we want to do. I think we'll activate the XLVII. I may use that to reinforce battle to pull that stat to attack him too. Oh, okay, so I've just activated this corps. Now, we have to do roadblock checks everywhere there's a roadblock adjacent to us. So, let's just pick one and start. So, a 2 or less, there may be an undetected defender. So, 7. No, so this roadblock simply comes off the map. This one is next to us. So we roll him. A 3 or less. It's a 9. So there's no undetected defender there either. That's good. So we can move a bit more freely. All right. So what do we want to do? I am going to be attacking this piece with a reinforced battle on that stack. That's going to be 6, 9, 10, 11, 15 if I leave that as is. So it's going to be a 5-1. He would not benefit from anything trying to reinforce or an undetected defender because he is surrounded. So I may leave that as is. It's a 5-1 combat. And hopefully I don't forget to move that piece. I don't know why it's still sitting back there. That piece is in the woods. That one's across the river. Forest. 1, 2, 3. I'm going after that. So he can move there at a movement cost of 2. That would be 1, 2. I'm sorry, movement cost of 1. He's down a road. He can move here. Cost a total of 3. 2 to move to broken, 1 down the road. This piece, it's 2 to go to the forest. One to go to here. He also would be required to stop moving because he's on a road next to a roadblock. This piece is apparently going to stay put because he just will. It costs 1 to break movement, 2 to enter the forest. He would be done moving. I don't need him back here. I do kind of want to keep these guys from moving up and messing with what's going to be a necessary supply road. Before I forget it, I'm going to put an improved position on him. That actually comes at the end of the turn, but this way I've not forgotten. I also want to go ahead and get this piece moved. He's on a road. He could do strategic movement, keeping on the roads and go up to 10 road hexes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, nope, can't go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to bring him down here. That was the complete strategic movement of 10 spots. That way he's down there with the rest of his corps. All right, let's, this one would be 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 18, 21 to 3. That's got a nice 7 to 1 odds. That one, let's go ahead and do this one first. We're going to use the reinforce battle card to include this stack. We do draw in case there's a combat tactic. This is for the allied piece. Okay, reinforced battle will not apply because no one, could he get there if he wanted to? No, he could not. So the zones of control would stop pieces, the river would stop pieces, so there's no reinforcement of him. So it's a one step. Our max is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Elite makes 5. The card we played makes 6. Oops. 1, 2, 3. That does not count as a chit draw. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, elite makes 5. Card makes 6. Okay. So it's not a large attack. Here's the minimum. Here's the minimum 1. It is not attacker only on armor or defender only on armor. So I'm going to draw all 5 additional. 1, 2, 3. Another helmet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. It was 5 to 1 odds. Okay, that's fine. It was 5 to 1 odds. Okay. It's greater than 2. Okay. There's no Allied air power or German air power. There is no artillery. So it's 3 defender hits. We could go through the steps, but he's not going to survive that. You know, if he could retreat cleanly, you know, 2 retreat hexes would count for 2, then he still has to take a hit. That would eliminate him. So this piece is eliminated. Plain and simple. We've now done another second piece removed, so there's another victory point. And we can advance pieces. Do I want to? I could advance here with the armored. I could bring them here to here. Let's go ahead and, if he were here, does that benefit us? To move here, across that. Yeah. He's going to use his 2 moves. He's going to use his 2 moves. he's going to move here, then here, keeping on the road. Okay. Okay. Throw the combat ships aside. And now we've got, I think I said this one was 7 to 1. 7, 8, 9, 10, 18, 21, unless he gets reinforced somehow. Allies, draw a card. Oh, that figures. Core artillery. Which means he gets artillery tactic, and he draws another card for a combat tactic. It's the 17th, so he gets engineers. Isn't that nice? He also gets an improved position. Okay. All right. So we have a minimum draw of 2. Oh, and he's elite. That's our 101st Airborne. All right. Only the attacker does have combined arms. That one counts. It's not 9 to 1. It's not less than 4 to 1. Okay. The max draw is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Elite makes 7. So I'm going to take all 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Defender has artillery. There's no air power. Defender artillery. Defender is elite. Figures. Combat engineer. Oh, it's actually, we have 7 to 1, so we have this one takes effect. All right. Those two nullify. 2 hits. The first hit is on the improved position marker, so that comes off. So we have 1 hit against 2 steps. The hold value of the hex is 3. So it's going to be calculating the hold chance. It's a 3. That makes it 5. Nope, 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 nope. So a 5 or less means he holds. It's a 1. So he holds position and takes a... Oh, wait a second. No, I take that back. If losing a step would cause the defending unit to exert no zone of control, retreat 1 hex. So losing a step, he would lose zone of control because he's bracketed, so he will retreat. The first priority is into a hex not in enemy zone of control, which is 1 choice here. So that's his second hit. We have 2 hits to consider as the attacker. I could take 1 hit and then disperse all the pieces. That potentially, depending on what card is drawn, there's potential a piece he could move to Bastogne. Or I could take 2 hits and I would be able to advance into that hex. And he would not be allowed to move from enemy zone of control to another enemy zone of control. I'm going to gamble. I will have 1 hit taken against that armored piece he's now mechanized infantry only. And disperse, because it's the end of the day when these markers will come off. So I'm going to preserve my strength point and disperse. All right, so that's the end of this impulse. Now we cross fingers. Allies impulse. Okay. We're looking at, is there a special for the day? No. Is there deploy reserves? Deploy the 1st, 9th, 5th Armored. There's the 1st and the 9th. So in order of numbers, 8, then the 10, we will attempt to deploy these. Okay, 5th Corps. Their area is the topmost lane across the map. Okay, so we're looking at this area only. Empty position, core area, trace supply, German unit proximate. See, these standard items. If possible, within 3 hex. Well, let's look for these first. So, German unit proximate. Where can we move? He cannot move there because it's zone of control to zone of control. Same with here. He cannot move there. We are not proximate to any, this would be in risk of surround, or would it? Yes, because zone of control, yeah, he would be surrounded by zones of control. So those pieces will not deploy because there's no need to get them out here yet, based on these rules. Next down the card, are there any? We do not have an expedite item. It's not yet turn 20 for replacements. Activate units to perform actions. All right. So we need to look at the activation sequence. There's no pieces wandering behind enemy lines. In danger of surround, and not in a VP hex. He is not in danger of surround because I cannot exert a zone of control here. Nor is he or he. Oh, he is. He is surrounded. So they'll do an activation sequence. No one's wandering behind enemy lines. Let's check what that says though. 10.8. Out of communication, not in a town or city. So he's in a town. So we're going to draw 3 action cards. Arrange them in numerical order. 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be 01, then 17, then 19. Okay. Fill the gap. Okay. So limited number of pieces involved. It's the 1st, 9th, and 5th. That's the 2nd and the 99th. That's the 2nd. That's the 5th. 1st, 9th, and 5th. 1st, 9th, and 5th. So we're only looking at that piece. Oh. All right. Because that's 2nd Division, 2nd Division, 99th, 99th. So when I was checking for surrounds and all that, that one was not actually, that would not have triggered the activation. However, as we read down the card, this eligible for IP in supply, not in hex with town, city, or IP. So this piece here is part of the 1st. He's eligible for IP. So he would have triggered what we're doing, which is drawing the 3 cards. That's also the only piece we're considering on these cards. So, is that unit proximate to an empty position to which a German unit is also proximate? No, because I cannot move this piece to that position, or that position, or that position. Oh, oh, oh. Here, he might be. No, because that would cost 1 to break contact. Let's look at this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Position with hold value less than 5 may not be in another allied zone of control. So kick out that 3. So the only one we would consider is, we cannot move to a proximate empty position. So we'll throw this card aside. Move. Unit or stack is not adjacent. Is not adjacent to a supplied German unit. Move to an unoccupied VP hex to which a German unit is proximate. Again, we cannot move into that VP hex. If none, move to unoccupied proximate German town. Nope. If none, move adjacent to nearest proximate German unit, which would be that piece right there. Okay. The movement stuff is going to tell us to, I can tell you right now the only option is here, because we need to preserve the line, which means we don't want to create or widen a gap. There's not a gap. If we moved, that would also be valid. So let's check the rules on movement. When an action calls for a unit to move, move the unit to an empty hex. So both of those, so it's an empty hex around that piece. Then to the hex that takes the most movement points. So that would use all his movement points. that would cost 2. Technically, that could cost all movement points also, but you know, that will only cost 2. That would take them all. We need to avoid being surrounded, avoid being flanked. Okay, we're going to go here. It also happens to be the primary forward direction. So that's the only piece that can do anything on the Allied action. So he's done his thing. The other card no longer applies. And there's nothing else. There's no improved positions for the 1st, 9th, or 5th to build because that piece is already moved. That's the end of the Allied impulse. And I'll stop and start to see. All right, so we're to the final Axis or German impulse. We have this card left. Army Group B. So we could deploy all German reserves. There's only 2 pieces. I'm not going to do that. We could do a Kampfgruppe. So anywhere on the board, I drop that Kampfgruppe piece, and all pieces within 2 are activated. I could activate any single German corps or any command event. I'm going to do the Kampfgruppe here because I'm going to use these pieces as an attack. I placed it here only because since this is within 2 hexes, that dispersal will happen to come off in case that matters on the Allied turn. I'm just going to remove it now instead of the end of the turn so I don't forget. Let's just take that off because this piece I was going to move here and this stack into the forest, and we're doing an attack. So that will be 2, 3, 4, 5. This has more than 2 dots, so that makes 6. So it's 6 total chit draws. It's unfortunate. That's the max. It's not a large attack, but we're throwing a Hail Mary into the day. So that Allied draws a card. It is the 17th. Well, for starters, we're not attacking the 8th Corps, so we're not going to check for a reserve piece. Bug out, it's the 17th, so we'll check the bug out rule. He's probably not going to bug out because we're on a VP hex. Alrighty, bug out. Prior to combat resolution, if the combat odds are greater than or equal to 3 to 1, conduct a hold check. If the result indicates a retreat, retreat the defending stack 2 hexes in accordance with the rules. Do not place a dispersed marker. The attack is resolved. If it indicates a hold, resolve combat normally. Not resolved if the defender is out of communication or combat odds are less than 3 to 1. So we've got 7. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 to 3. So we do a hold check. It's 5, 7 with the 2 dots. Let's see here. Hold value is 5. Steps is 2. So 7 or less. I forgot what we do, but once 7 or less, it's a 1. Okay, he holds. Okay, so combat goes as normal. So it's a minimum draw of 2. One, 2. He's in a wooded hex. 5th Panzer Army. Nope, it's the 6th. Oh, it's also a blue tile, so we're going to throw all the rest back in there. There's no air power. That's not used. All the chips back in the bin. Get a shake, and I'm going to draw 4 more for my maximum of 6. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It was 20, I believe. 8, 13, 17. It was 20 to 3. So it is 6 to 1 odds. That one applies. That one applies. He's not dispersed or unsupplied. There's no... Oh, there is defender adjacent. That stinks. And there's no artillery. Okay, so defender hits, those offset. This means there's 1. The city or the town absorbs 1 hit. So there's no defender hits. I have to take an attacker hit. That stinks. I'm going to take my hit on this infantry piece. And that's it for my impulse. Failed to take the objective. Final impulse of the day is the Allies. Well, we do not have a special for the day. Deploy Corps reserves. So we will do a check on deploying the 7th Armored. See if they're eligible now. 7th Armored will be from this line up. We're going to need a hex where German unit is proximate. No, no, no. Not eligible because it's next to an allied piece. No, no. Nope. It's from this line above. So there's no eligible pieces. So those stay in the reserve box. There's no expedite. It's not the 20th, so we will check on activating units. So it's the XVIII. So we're looking at those pieces. Are the only possible ones that will activate. That was the entire Corps. All right. So anyone wandering behind? Is anyone eligible for an improved position? This one is. So we can skip checking all this and go straight down to drawing 3 action cards. 1, 2, 3. In order, it's the 16, 21, and 22. Well, I'm going to throw one of these aside because there's two pullbacks. So move is the first one. And we check the lowest numbered piece first, which is that 01. However, notice the card says protect VP hex. Protect VP hex. Do not move from VP hex if it leaves the hex vacant and if within 2 hexes of a German unit. So, 2 hexes, this piece will not move. Let's check this one. Okay. Unit is not adjacent to a supply German. It is not. Move to unoccupied VP hex to which a German unit is proximate. None. So remember when we moved pieces here? So if we hadn't done that, he may have come up to retake St. Vith. If none, move adjacent to nearest proximate German unit. There's 2. That one and that one. However, the card says to preserve the line, which means if we moved here, we're creating a gap. If we were to move down here, oh, that actually would be valid. So we're not going to move here because of a gap. So it's going to be this piece we move next to. And then those other rules said use whatever takes the most points to get to. So that would cost 2 points. That only costs 1 point. So he's going to move to here. Okay. Oh, no. Because I just created a gap. So he will only move here. Because that way he's preserving the line. We're not opening a gap. Okay? So he's done. The next card, pull back. So the only eligible card yet, or piece to check, is that armored. He's not out of communication or in danger of surround, so he does nothing. Finally, if we had any pieces eligible to build an improved position, we would do that. That piece moved. That piece moved. He's not eligible. This is in a town or city. He's not eligible. So that is the end of the Allied impulse. Toss that card. We've reached the end of the day on the 17th. So return all combat chips to the cup. Remove all dispersed or out of fuel markers. Goodness, we had dispersals all over. Okay. All right, so end of the day on the 17th. We at least repositioned some pieces up here to try and break around the top. We do have potential here to make a break. The Allies, through the fog of war, we didn't know pieces were where they were, so now there's a line. There's still some, there's still a gap here, here. So there's still some holes for the Allies to plug. But they're starting to protect that bulge. All right. We will pick up the 18th at a later time here.